This is He Knows Everything, bringing you that heat and that fire. Alright, let's talk about it.
Go ahead, He knows.
See, a lot of fight fans, they don't understand the climax of boxing. Boxing has a climax to it. This is the same type of climax when you sit there and you look at circumstances that surrounding situations that need to be built up. You cannot sit here and have Spence versus Crawford prematurely. It's not smart. Spence versus Crawford has to be a super fight of the ages. The reason why this fight is necessary for the sport of boxing from that standpoint is because that fight will give basically what we would say a resuscitation to boxing. Let me say it again. It would give it a resuscitation. It would give it basically a heartbeat. This is why fight fans want it so bad. And I don't blame them for wanting it so bad. But where they're erroneous and where they make the gaffe and where they make the basically what we would say the incorrect issue is they want it too bad. They want it prematurely. You have to understand there's two welterweights that's out there. Keith Thurman was not properly cleaned out, at least by not this genre of fighters. Manny Pacquiao's part of Mayweather genre. That shit don't count. Keith Thurman has to be cleaned out. We already know Errol the True Spence is not gonna fight him because Errol the True Spence made it very clear. Tables turned, motherfucker. Tables turned. When Keith Thurman had those two belts prior to Errol the True Spence, Keith Thurman was not trying to sit there and fight Errol the True Spence so that he can take the belt. Spence, he's like me in a lot of ways. He don't forget shit, and he reciprocates the same shit you do right back to him, but he does it tenfold. Let me say it again. Errol the True Spence is like he knows everything. He doesn't forget shit, but he will reciprocate what you did to him and then add tenfold to it. When he said tables turned, keep that same energy, dog. Y'all froze me out of the Cold War with Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, and you. Y'all wasn't trying to fight me. All y'all was ducking me. And the only reason why y'all fought me is because I became a cash cow. I became basically a guy that was a rock star. So even though I was the boogeyman, y'all had no choice but to look at the financials. That's why you guys stepped up to the plate to fight me. Other than that, if I was basically a boogeyman without any rock star ability, you guys would avoid me. You would duck me at all fucking costs. Keith Thurman was the main one. He was the ringleader.
Go ahead, He knows.
So Spence is not going to fight him. Spence is on the Ugas track. See, Errol the True Spence need that fight in between because he got to dust the cobwebs off. I don't care how elite you are as a fighter. Dusting of the cobwebs has to happen. If Spence fights Bud right now, it's a unanimous decision wash. I don't want that. I don't want Spence to just unanimous decision wash him. I want Errol the True Spence to stop and wash him. I want Errol the True Spence to dismantle and wash him. And I know the only way that Spence can be that bulldozing Errol the True Spence is he got to have that fight in between. Your Dennis Ugas is a dangerous Cuban background amateur pedigree fighter. The man can fucking box. As you see, he just recently retired Manny Pacquiao. That was poetry in motion, man. To watch Manny Pacquiao the next day, have his eyes closed and being spoon-fed by his wife. That was a beautiful thing. Because Manny Pacquiao is extremely overrated. The Pac-Tards have disappeared. Anybody that's a Manny Pacquiao fan has been on higgity fucking hush status since your Dennis Ugas did what he did. I love it. Because it revealed that Manny Pacquiao succumbs to boxers and boxing ability and those who have the ability to outpoint you. Those who have the ability to basically use what we call a pugilist sweet science against Manny Pacquiao. That was revealed. So I'm thoroughly impressed by Dennis Ugas, and I'm happy that Dennis Ugas did that. But Spence has to fight Dennis Ugas so that he could keep up his mantra. His mantra is man down, strap season. So he man downs you and then he strap seasons you. Spence goes and collects the WBA belt in a unanimous / split decision. I respect you, Dennis Ugas, that much that fight won't be a wash. Spence is going to really be tested mentally and physically in that fight, but he'll prevail. He always prevails because your Dennis Ugas is going to succumb to the body work, and he's going to succumb to the blinding jab. That's going to be the nullifier in that fight because you're talking about two boxers and two boxing abilities. Spence's pedigree is just on another level. So he's going to put the blinding jab in front of your Dennis Ugas, and your Dennis Ugas is going to suffer behind the blinding fucking jab. So I got Spence winning that fight. But that fight will give Spence the collected data as if he fought two fights. So automatically after that fight, Spence is back in bulldozing Errol the True Spence shape. Because no matter how great you are as a fighter, your best thing is you constantly fighting because it just keeps you active and keeps you at your best. Keith Thurman, on the other hand, gets to get at Dud Crawford.
Go ahead,
Terence Crawford called out Keith Thurman when he got to 147. So you Budman fans can't run away from that. He basically told Keith Thurman that I think you're the best guy at 147. This came out of Dud Crawford's mouth. He even went as far and as flagrant, erroneously, to say that Keith Thurman and not Errol the True Spence, from an erroneous and flagrant standpoint, a gaffing standpoint, was the man at 147. He said that Keith Thurman is a bigger fight than Sean Porter recently. This is during the Crawford and Porter situation. Matter of fact, right before Crawford versus Porter happened, that's what he said about Keith Thurman. So if that is actually truthful, if that is an assessment that he sees, if that's the mindset that he's going by, then he needs to honor it, he needs to accept it, and he needs to run with it, and he needs to fall himself up under it, and he needs to sit there and go by it. Because when it's all said and done, when you say something, you have to uphold to what you say. When you are pushing a situation for what it is, you got to be governed by the situation that you've pushed. Keith Thurman is now calling you out. Keith Thurman feels that he can beat you. Now, whether Keith Thurman will beat him or not, that's a question and a time for right before the fight starts. If there's any monkey business, you know he knows everything's all over that shit. He will point out the monkey business to you guys at that point. But for right now, Keith Thurman is still a live game welterweight. So in order for Undisputed to happen, the word undisputed means there are no disputes. Well, if Keith Thurman is lingering, there's a fucking dispute. Let me say it again. If Keith Thurman is lingering, there's a fucking dispute. You brain full of mush and brainwash Bud Man fan dodo heads. You can't sit there and rush Spence versus Crawford if there's disputes. That means there's not an actual undisputed. And you can't rush Spence and Crawford without Ugas. Your Dennis first name, surname Ugas, is cleaned out too. These are the last two welterweights in the trajectory of Undisputed. So they have to be cleaned out in order for Spence versus Crawford to happen. Here's my estimation. Here's my projection. Here's my and a prediction king strikes. And a prediction king strikes again fashion. And you're going to see a lot of motherfuckers run with it. They always do. First and foremost, Keith Thurman and Terence Crawford has to fight next year. No later than fucking, I would say, a May to June fight date. Possibly can go push that bitch out to July. But I would prefer earlier calendar. And then Errol the True Spence fights your Dennis Ugas around March, April of next fucking year. And then once they fight, now we have a situation where the end of 2022, the dust is fucking settled. We're looking at a calendar September-ish, all the way out, pushing the bitch out to December. It could be any one of those fucking months. But we're looking at a super fight of the ages at the end of the year to bring and usher out 2022. And that would make sense. Because now it would be for all the marbles. It would be undisputed. There will be no fucking disputes. Keith Thurman, if Terence Crawford is up for it, he will beat the guy. There will be no disputes from that standpoint. Obviously, I'll explain how he beats him at the time when it comes. But for right now, I'm projecting he beats him. And Errol the True Spence beats your Dennis Ugas. Now Spence has 3 belts. Terence Crawford has the last belt. And now we have everything undisputed on the fucking line. See, this is what makes sense. If you're a real fight fan, if you're looking at boxing from the 3-pronged monster of economics, politics, and pugilism, and not the one-trick archaic viewpoint of let it keep it boxing, let it keep it boxing, then you would see this for what it is. You would understand why He Knows Everything's blueprint is the blessed blueprint there is. There is no other fucking blueprint that makes more sense than that. Because it makes logical sense, it makes financial sense, and it makes sense all the way around. If you're a real G, a super real G, and an ultimate real G out here in these boxing streets, you're like, that's irrefutable. You can't argue what this man said because he said it from a 3-dimensional thinking ability fashion. And he rationalized it even into our intellectual minds so that we can compute it. The only ones that wouldn't get this shit is a Rudy fucking Poo and a Plum Brain, a classic fucking Dota and a Troglodyte, an ultra fucking fanboy with the ultra fucking fanboy rhetoric. And now we have to add it because of the raging fucking babe, as if she's getting fucked in the ass by Terence Crawford, this Bud woman fan. So we have to say ultra fangirl with the ultra fangirl rhetorics. Now they will understand that Spence versus Crawford would not be too soon. It would have been completely built up. It would have been completely climaxed. It would have been at the bubbling, the bursting effects, like a volcano ready to fucking erupt. And then when the eruption happens, no one can dispute who wins that fight. Obviously, it's going to be Errol the True Spence, because his tactical aggression, technical punching placement, and body snatching work, the levying onslaught of the punishment style will be too much for Terence Crawford. He's going to bulldoze him. He's going to steamroll him. He's going to plow through him. This is going to be Hagler versus Hearns 2.0. I've been saying it. I've been quoted saying it. Errol the True Spence is big. He's built too big, too durable, and too for tough. He's too sturdy. And Bud is too light in the caboose. He's a Bud fucking light. And like Errol the True Spence told him, not 1, not 2, but 3 times, you too light in the ass. I will straight up stop you. That's exactly what will happen. But to crown an undisputed king, you have to clean out divisions properly. This is not no cinnamon dust of a horchata of an Alvarez. This is not the Canelo Alvarez. This is not the Cinnamon Toast Crunch where they strip David Benavidez and then he automatically has an 11th month road to Undisputed. That's the fastest road you've ever seen to Undisputed, because they wanted this guy to have a false claim to Undisputed, but David Benavidez is still there, and David Benavidez didn't lose, so there's a fucking dispute. So you don't want that kind of shit at the welterweight division. Because if you rush Spence versus Crawford, Keith Thurman's going to be right there saying, motherfuckers, I was here. And he will be right. That's a dispute. Your Dennis Ugas would be like, motherfuckers, I got the WBA belt. And he will be fucking right. That's a dispute. So that wouldn't be undisputed. That would just be a lineal fucking situation. So what are you brain full of mush and brainwashed dodo heads that I get? You cannot rush Spence versus Crawford, especially if you guys bill it at the super fight of the ages. So Keith Thurman has to be properly cleaned out by Dud Crawford if he's up to the table and he's willing to do it. Who knows? That may very well be a paid to lose, aka nosedive. We don't know. We'll know when the time comes. And Errol the True Spence is going to clean out your Dennis Ugas. And then when they get together, now the dust is fucking settled. There's 4 belts on the fucking line. And now we have an actual undisputed fight of the ages for late 2022. That's the cold-hearted. That's the unadulterated. That's the cutthroat telefashion. I keeps the foot on the X. I keeps the foot on the what? X. This is He Knows Everything.